What the weirdest thing you did while you were high? Some girls in high school invited me to go smoke and swim in a creek with them. Of course I went and got high as frick. Spent the next 30 minutes sitting in the creek. I was so still that a fish came up and bit my butt. I didn't realize what I was doing until one of the girls asked me why the frick I was all alone sitting in the middle of a creek not moving. Holds up finger in front of lips in the international sign for shut the frick up. Please be absolutely silent, Britney. You're gonna scare the fishes. I was fricked up looking for my hotel in Atlantic City. Somehow got there and woke up the next morning to just hotel being in the search bar of my Spotify. That was my best effort. One time my eye was really dry, so I stopped drinking my water and started slowly pouring water into my eye. All of it while I was sitting on my friend's bed, leaving just a bit so I could still have one gulp. Once, while partaking with my friends, we all started talking about the cotton mouth we were all experiencing, and one guy related it to getting red eyes while high. He then said, "I wish there were something like eye drops but for your mouth for when you have cotton mouth." Then another immediately replied, "Oh, they do. It's cold water." Made a cup of tea with cold water and proceeded to put the entire concoction into the microwave. When I discovered that the door wouldn't close because the mug was too big, I tipped a bit of water from the mug and tried again. Got up to leave my bedroom and knocked on the door before opening it to go out. I relate to this calm, polite kind of high. My friend is restless when he's high, so he was standing at the edge of the living room while most of our group was seated. I wanted to sit down too, but I ended up standing behind him because I thought we had to wait in a line to get into the living room. Every time I get stoned, I just want to confine myself to the smallest space possible. It's not a fear or anxiety thing. Stoned me genuinely feels more comfortable under a table or bed, or even inside a cardboard box. This one time, went to let the dog out and I walked out instead and left my dog inside. Me to my friend one time when I was high, dude, I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Okay, what am I thinking? If someone rubs their face really hard, it looks like they're rubbing their skin off their face to make it into a mask. That was not what he was thinking. To this day I have no idea what came over me. One time years ago I was camping at a campground with my wife and a few friends. We're all sitting around the fire drinking. Her brother and I go for a walk to smoke some joints. We finish that and I have to pee, so he goes back to the group. And when I'm done I head back as well. So I get back and I'm pretty baked at this point, and I'm just standing there watching the fire and drinking my beer for a few minutes. I then noticed a particular Coleman lantern on the picnic table and thought to myself, I don't remember us having one of those here. It was at that point that I realized I was standing at the wrong damned campsite, amongst a bunch of people I have never met, while my group was watching from the next site over, laughing and wondering WTF I was doing. The strangers have a much scarier version of this same exact story. Was watching a Korean drama when I had a whole freak out when I realized, holy crap, I suddenly understand Korean. I woke my BF up and made him watch with me as I translated for him. He laughed at me for 5 minutes before he told me I was actually just reading the subtitles. My wife did something similar, except she flipped to one of the movie channels in Spanish, but instead of reading the subtitles, she just exclaimed that she knew Spanish and started shouting gibberish. It took me a while to convince her that she did not, in fact, speak Spanish. Years ago, before the internet, was having a panic attack while high, wanted to connect with the Ask a Nurse hotline, but couldn't remember the number. Kept calling 411 asking them to connect me to 1-800-NURSE-ME. Eating yogurt with a fork in front of my parents. My dad waited for about 10 minutes to say that a spoon might make it easier. I just imagine a slightly disappointed look on your father's face as he leans against the counter watching you attempt this and wondering if he should say anything. Went to White Castle to get food for everyone after we smoked. We all had the same order. 2 double cheese sliders and an order of mozzarella sticks. When I gave her my order, I didn't just say that I wanted 8 double cheese sliders in total. I repeated the 2 double cheese sliders and mozzarella sticks 4 times. By the time I got to the end of my order, the cashier sounded so defeated. I still cringe thinking back to that moment, but it's also one of my funniest smoke stories. I'll have a number 9, 2 number 9s, a number 9. Bought fresh fish at the wholesale fish market. When you've been partying all night until dawn and you see sober people in action, the fish market is really fascinating. When you wake up the next afternoon and thirst lets you open the fridge and you see crapload of silvery eels, you cannot really relate to that fascination anymore. A few years ago I was on shrooms with some friends and we went on a walk to smoke a cig. Every time I took a puff of my cigarette, I was expecting to taste Mountain Dew and I was disappointed every time that it didn't. I quit smoking cigs a few days after that. Crazy. Mushrooms helped my friend quit smoking too. She was standing there smoking and all of a sudden just held it in front of her face, went, "I am breathing freaking fire," and never smoked again. One time I came back inside from a back porch smoke and put my lighter in the sink. My reasoning was I'll put it in the dishwasher later. For the millionth time, Black David Duchovny, if you're gonna leave it in the sink at least let it soak. Was hotboxing and used my windshield wipers to try and clear the smoke. The dumbest thing I've done while I was high was think my bowl of cereal was my phone and just tossed the whole bowl, milk, cereal, spoon, onto my bed. That was a freaking mess. Used my phone torch to find my phone in the dark. The first time I got high, the first thing my friend asked me was, "How are you feeling?" and I just sat there for about 45 seconds thinking to myself, I'm just so relaxed, everything is so still, before I said to them, "Why oh, I'm a plate." I thought that, if I became rich, I'd keep all my money in pennies to prevent people from stealing it. Also once tried roasting a hot dog with no stick, just holding the wiener in my hand over an open flame. It did not work. It didn't work cause you didn't try hard enough. Got high, ate a bunch of jalapeno poppers. Not that weird. No, the weird part was the calendar appointment I made for myself the next morning that just said ha 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 ha. Jaime apparently predicted the right time for my morning bowel movement, and as those little jalapeno poppers burned again on the way out, he reached out across time and space to laugh at sober me about it. Blew on my cereal to cool it down. Hey, you can never be too careful. The very first time I got high, my lovely friend told me you'll know when you've had enough, so of course I smoked a ton. When I wasn't moving, it felt like time had stopped. I had no idea what was going on. If I moved though, I was completely fine. I ended up dancing to no music by myself as long as I could before I went to sleep. I think I went to sleep anyway. Time wasn't working. I may have just laid there for 8 hours. I remember a while ago I was stoned playing WoW. I was in the middle of Stormwind just holding the W and E key, running in circles for a solid 15-20 minutes laughing my butt off. I then somehow thought I discovered a game-changing feature, so I started up a screen recorder and set my mic up and talking absolute nonsense that was completely incoherent. In the middle of one of my sentences after I stopped laughing so much I went hold on, wait. I think I just thought of something else to try out and I got quiet and my character stopped running in circles. Suddenly, I held the W and A key and started running in the opposite direction. I instantly started laughing my butt off and did that for another 20 minutes. Spent 45 minutes looking for my glasses with my friend. Said frick it BC, I had to leave and was now running late. When I went to put on my sunglasses I smashed them onto my glasses. I had my glasses on my freaking face the whole time and neither myself or my friend noticed. That's on him. 100%. Freaked out that I'd lost my iPod somewhere on the way to the train station. I got off the train and went back, retracing my steps all the way back to my apartment, only to realize that I was listening to music the whole time, on my iPod. I did that without being high. Ordered food for delivery. Forgot. Went to grocery store for stuff to BBQ. Remembered about the food for delivery while paying in line. Back in college, I got super baked with friends. Like almost non-verbal. Tunnel vision stoned. We went to this donut place near campus. Ken's Donuts, if anyone is familiar with the UT Austin area. I was staring at the counter full of donuts. I felt like I was standing there for like a minute quietly humming and thinking. Apparently, it was closer to 10 minutes and I was loudly humming the theme song to Jurassic Park over and over again. For some reason we were listening to it on the drive over and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I laughed my butt off multiple times while eating the donuts after the whole standing humming like a moron thing I was doing. I was thinking about how great my friends are and how pretty they are and decided I should talk to myself like that too. So I tried on all these clothes I feel self-conscious in and gave myself a bunch of compliments. Completely freaked out because everyone around me was speaking a foreign language and I couldn't understand anything. Note to self, don't get high in a foreign country. I ate mushrooms by myself and some guy dropped off pizza at my house so I signed for it. Only thing is, I didn't order any pizzas. My boyfriend came home and said you ordered pizza. It had been sitting on the table for hours. I thought I dreamt it. Whoops, the guy came to the very wrong house. But I did tip him handsomely so I did the right thing. This should just be a commonplace business idea in Colorado. Take a few extra pizzas around town knocking on smoky college house doors at closing, getting a decent tip, and they don't even remember they ordered one. In no particular order, woke up to the remote control for the TV inside of the fridge from the night before. Let YouTube autoplay for so long that I was eventually watching fire truck drag racing, and everyone's favorite. Watched hours upon hours of the Yule log TV show with my friends. So much that we knew when the hand was going to come into the scene to move the logs around. Everyone leaves this thread to search for fire truck drag racing. Spent 5 minutes, thought it was 30, hysterically crying, and then I kept forgetting my friend had a cat and I got scared every time I saw it and said holy crap you have a cat. Set my voicemail message to I'm so high right now. That's how my entire family learned I smoked weed. I was trying to set my voicemail box up, but gave up. The first time I smoked keef was my 21st birthday after already drinking way too much. The fade was so intense that I couldn't walk. My friends put me in my bed but for some reason I felt the need to not be in my room. So with my non-functioning legs, I crawled on my elbows down the hall and down a staircase to an empty bedroom where I laid on the floor in the dark for 30 minutes. Then I got uncomfortable laying on the ground so I miraculously regained control of my legs and managed to remove the door to the bedroom to lay on. Pretty solid mattress if you like yours firm. Buddy of mine started petting the TV remote like a cat. Sometimes you just need a friend. Cried after watching the selfie music video from Chainsmokers. I once walked in on my mother crying over a cat food commercial. I was on acid at a music festival and asked a cop if he would name a hurricane after me. Fortunately he thought that was funny. Standing by the sink, weeping as I tore into the most juicy and delicious whole ripe mango. In my mind I thought it was some sort of alien creature and it was giving its life in exchange for my pleasure. I thought it was the most beautiful, selfless act anything had ever done for me and was overcome by emotion. I must have looked like a goddamn weirdo but it was still a beautiful moment. Walked up to the bathroom mirror with a flashlight, shined it on my eyes and studied the color patterns of my eyes for about 20 minutes straight, and singing loudly at the same time. I set a hot pocket in the microwave and put in my PIN number for the cook time. I bought a Cowgirl outfit on Amazon and learned to play 9-5 by Dolly Parton. I'm a guy by the way. I remember thinking that I was going to be some crazy successful cover artist with that gimmick. The Cowgirl outfit doesn't fit BTW, not even close. I think a lot of us would like you to follow your dream. Had a bunch of cannabis with my roommate, and after 3 hours, it hadn't kicked in, so we walked to the discount grocery store. Of course, that's when it hit us hard. We ended up finding this massive bag of cheese puffs. I've never before or since seen a bag this big, and on the way back home we opened it up and started munching. Well, we passed a 24-hour fitness, the kind with wall-to-wall windows, and we couldn't fathom why anyone would want to work out over eating cheese puffs. We pressed ourselves in front of the windows, eating and mocking those inside until a worker came out and told us to leave. Ate a whole bowl of cereal with a fork. Took me like 2 minutes to figure out why TF it was taking so long and why I wasn't getting any milk. There is a guy at the match 2 rows in front of me who eats a pie with a coffee stirrer. I stared at ants outside for a solid hour and a half, just going about their business. I'm not too fond of insects sober, but when I'm high they're so goddamn interesting. I did this once with fish. Sat by the side of a river and spaced the frick out looking at this one fish that was chilling out. Very calming. You've been spotted by the doggo of studying. Like this video for good grades for the next 2 years. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.